Are you reading a fantasy series? What book are you on? Oh, the second one? Ooh. Oh, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You just keep reading. But I will just say, don't judge the whole series just based on that one book. That second book is really, it's not that good. So just hopefully, hopefully you keep reading after that, because that one's really like the first, like honestly, the first 3 books are just kind of like, I don't really understand why anybody reads them. You could probably just skip it and, read the better books in the series. Honestly, the first 3 books, they're really not that good. But if you can get to like the 5th or 6th book, those are absolutely amazing. Like literally the most incredible book you will ever read in your life. And then 7 through 10 are kind of a slog. 10 is honestly the worst. It takes forever to get through it, and like nothing happens, and you kind of have to wonder why it was written in the first place. Honestly though, 11 and 12 are so fantastic. Well, 12 is okay. I would say it's not the best ending. 11 is one of my favorites though, for sure. But 12 is, it's okay. It's an okay ending. But anyways, I really hope you enjoy book 2 as much as you can, and let me know what you think. Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Tori, and today I am coming to you with my hair wrapped in a towel because that's just the kind of day I'm having. And so I figured I would sit down and have a little low-key conversational chat with you guys about micromanaging series expectations on the internet. This is something that I have seen all over the place constantly for as long as I've been around the book communities online. And there are definite patterns, and I'm sure you guys have also noticed those patterns as you've talked to people or had comments left on your reading progress, if you share that anywhere. And a lot of it has to do with people who have read a series, and understandably they get very excited or very apprehensive when people start a new series, whether they absolutely love it or it wasn't their favorite. And we all do this thing where we comment on each other's reading experience, right? That's a normal part about reading on the internet. It's something that we all just know it comes as part of the deal. But I find it really interesting that it does often cross a line into kind of micromanaging other people's experience of a series. I have a perfect example of this just recently because I have started reading The Dresden Files by Jim Butcher. And many of you know, even if you haven't read the series, that the first few books get a lot of mixed opinions, which makes sense. It's the first couple books in a series. The author might be kind of finding his footing a little bit, playing in the playground, trying to figure out where the series is going, getting the voice of the character nailed down, all of those things. But it's been really funny how many comments I have gotten, not just now that I'm reading book 2, but way before I even started reading book 2, when I even expressed interest in, hey, someday I might read Dresden Files. I might try it. I might just see what I think of it. And almost immediately people were trying to temper my expectations of this series before I had even had a chance to step into the world and meet the character yet. And there's 2 extremes, right, on this spectrum. There's the micromanaging and trying to lower those expectations. And there's also the overhyping of series that we see all the time, where a series is the most incredible thing anybody has ever read. They will hear absolutely no slander, and if you disagree, you are not okay. And then all the way on the other side, it's like, oof, man, you are not gonna like this series, and you better be really careful about the first couple of books because they're really mid or really awful. And I get it. I get that we are trying to share the experience of reading. That's part of why we're all here, right? But I do think it's really interesting because I think it goes a little too far often. I can see where if I had finished reading Full Moon, which is book 2 in the Dresden Files, and a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions about it, which is fine. I get it. I'm almost done with the book, so I understand why people have strong opinions about it, but I haven't even shared my thoughts yet. And everybody is like leaping ahead. We're trying to jump to the ending without actually reading the book, okay? I don't know. I just find it really interesting, and I'm not sure. I'm dying to know. So please let me know in the comments if you guys have thoughts about this. What it is about seeing someone else start a book or start a series that makes us feel so intensely motivated to manage their expectations in a specifically in a negative way. Now, obviously, there's a big difference between somebody saying, hey, book 2 is absolute garbage, please don't judge the series based on book 2 when I haven't even finished reading it yet, versus somebody saying, hey, Tori, I know that you don't like this certain type of content in your books, so I just wanted to give you a heads up. There might be something in X book that's going to bother you. I've gotten those kind of comments about Dresden as well. I appreciate those because I have said openly that I want those kind of spoilers. I want that kind of a heads up, especially from people in my book community that know me really well, and I specifically ask for it. But a lot of people try to temper my expectations, and it's not just Dresden Files. That's just the one that kind of was the catalyst for me sitting down and making this video. And this happens with so many series. Look at Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time is a great example of this. This is not a series that I've read. It's not a series that I intend to read at any point just because I know it's not going to be a good fit for me. But the roller coaster that is the fandom's micromanagement of people's experience with this series is wild. I have been on the sidelines watching Wheel of Time fans try to manage expectations for this series for years, and I find it so fascinating. I'm sure many of you realize that my opening skit was kind of a mashup inspiration between Dresden Files Book 2 and the slog from Wheel of Time in the last part of the series. It's so fascinating to me listen to someone try to pitch Wheel of Time, because they're like, oh, book 1 is, the beginning is a little rough and it might feel a little tropey and you might not really like it that much, but if you can get into the middle of the series, there's some fantastic content in there, and then, oh my gosh, there's this awful slog and it just takes forever to get through, and honestly, those books are just, they're so awful. But if you can get to the very end of the series, I'm just like, man, whatever happened to people just blindly going into a series and having their own experience with it? Now, I realize that as we are all very socially connected in this book community, that is hard to do. It is really hard to go into a series not knowing anything about it, not knowing anyone around you's experience with it or opinions about it. So part of that is, if you really want to have a completely blind experience with a series, you might have to unplug from the internet. But at the same time, I do feel like we hover way too much on other people's experiences. Now, I do try to, if people specifically are looking for thoughts or they're coming to me asking me my opinion of a series, that's a completely different thing. And obviously we all have, trusted groups or trusted booktubers online that we take book recommendations from, and we might want to know a little bit more about their opinion of a series. However, I just feel like it's so interesting that a perfect stranger will show up on a social media platform and be like, ugh, you're really not gonna like book 2. You don't know what I'm gonna think of book 2? I haven't even read it yet. I don't know what I'm gonna think of book 2. Let me figure it out. Let me figure out what I'm gonna think of book 2, because I don't know yet. A big old series that I do have experience with that this is rampant in this fandom as well is Malazan Book of the Fallen. This is the kind of series where people will say, oh boy, get out your notebook. And I mean, you don't have to have a PhD to read Malazan, but oh man, it is going to be the hardest thing you ever read in your life. It's so complicated. You're going to be so confused. Like, maybe they won't be. I don't know. That wild idea. Maybe somebody is going to go in and read Malazan and just have a good time with it. That was my experience. I started Gardens of the Moon 15 years ago in college, and the only experience that I had with it at all was a friend of mine who had more experience reading adult epic fantasy than me literally handed me Gardens of the Moon and was like, hey, I think you might enjoy this. I had no idea the discourse surrounding Malazan until years later, after I'd already read 4 books, formed my own opinion, and had my own thoughts about the books because I didn't have a bunch of other opinions sort of hovering or falling over me while I was reading it. And I do think that that is one negative about the book community, which you guys know that I absolutely love. I literally do this on a regular basis because I love being part of the book community. But I do think that we oftentimes get too much in each other's business when it comes to reading experience. And I really feel like we need to take a step back a little bit sometimes and just let people have their experience with a book. I feel like we are too fast to jump all over them and be like, here's all the things you're gonna think. Here's the, like, majority opinion about this part of the series or this specific book or this specific author, and we don't let people experience it themselves. They're already going into it with that kind of clutter in their head from all of these other people. And again, as part of a social media platform that talks about books with literally hundreds of thousands of other people, you can't eliminate that completely if you're going to be on like in this community. But I do think that it's food for thought, right? To like figure out, are we doing a disservice to our favorite series, to our favorite authors, to our favorite books by kind of hovering over people's shoulders and just trying to tell them what to think to make sure they either have the best experience with a series or the... Actually, let me walk that back. I think I'm going to go a step farther and say that oftentimes we might hover over people's shoulders while they're reading a series that we are familiar with so that they have the same experience that we do. I don't know what you guys think about that, but that's my personal thought. I think, you know, we are social creatures, we humans, and we always want to be validated. We always want to be affirmed in our opinions. We want people to be like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. I had the same experience with this book. I absolutely hated it, or I absolutely loved it. And that feels really good. And I think maybe at the core of all of this, we just need to take a slight step back and realize that everyone's experience with books is going to be a little different. We talk about that all the time on this channel, right? It's fine if somebody has a different experience with the series. You never know. Maybe the book that was a slog for you, they absolutely love, and they like the slower pace, and they like the way the plot kind of meanders and doesn't really seem to have a point or whatever it might be. They might love a character that you couldn't stand. You never know. Everybody's going to bring their own experiences and their own opinions to everything they read. We know this, right? We talk about this all the time. So I really think the whole point of this video is me just coming back on here to gently remind everyone that it's fun to see everyone's different perspectives, and it's okay not to feel like you need to micromanage the experiences of other readers who are reading a series you're familiar with. Whether you absolutely hated it, you were super mid on it, or it is one of your favorite series of all time. I totally understand the pull toward trying to kind of like hover over and stalk their Goodreads to see how they're feeling about it. But maybe wait until they actually have their own opinions and then enter the conversation. Say, hey, wow, you really liked this. I didn't love it so much, but I'm curious to know what you liked about it. However you want that conversation to go. I would highly encourage us all to let people breathe while they're reading series, not to tell them that they need to get out their notebook or to, well, you really should skip book 2, or man, that last couple books are really a slog. For a lot of readers, there's gonna be that white noise stuck in the back of their head saying, oh man, like these people told me book 2 was awful and I'm having an okay time with it, but I must be missing something. That's not the kind of experience I want to give people with the series that they read. And that's one of the reasons why I try to be really careful just to talk about my own experience when I review books on my channel. Other people are going to have completely different experiences with the same books. Anyways, that's just my little mom in a towel ramble for you guys today, and I hope that that made any kind of sense. I genuinely look forward to hearing you guys' thoughts down in the comments, because this is something that I see everywhere. It's on Goodreads, it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's everywhere. And I've seen a lot of patterns that are almost word for word the same. It's almost like people are regurgitating the same lines about the same books because they saw it somewhere else, or they had the same experience with it. So I just wanted to sit down and talk about it, so I did. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic week, and I hope no matter what you're reading, that you are having your own experience with it. And I hope you're reading a 5-star read right now. And I will see you in the next video.